when you change one element of history, you have no understanding of how many other events that it influences, and there's an infinite number of possibilities where things can go. So that's what makes time travel so interesting. So I actually studied time travel and like philosophy at university, and there's multiple different theories of being able to go back in time, and like if you were to kill yourself in the past, would it affect your future? And like is it either a spiral effect or are there parallels? So yeah, to go back and change one thing. But then the argument is this: if you go back and change one thing, right, about your past, would you then turn out to be the same person with the same cognition to then be able to make that choice to go back into the past? Because if
Yes,
you
that's
change
so many
it,
contradictions in
yeah,
time traveling. I don't know how to
because your
justify that.
thought processes wouldn't evolve. Like, you know how some of the most terrible circumstances that happen to you as a person teach you some of the most significant lessons, and like you grow as a person, you might either become more confident, more savvy, more able to problem solve. So if you were to go back and deny yourself that terrible circumstance that taught you all these lessons to evolve your consciousness as a human, would you then be that evolved, and would you be able to make that choice to go back and then remove it? So it's like, so the butterfly effect always messes with me on that. I like the fact that every time he changes something, everything screws up. Like it's never, never how he wants it.
And in this movie, fortunately for him, he could remember everything from even the future that didn't happen.
Yeah.
So, what would you change in your past if you had that power that you could remember actually everything, you were under control, but you would make a change to make a better future? It was a risk, of course. Maybe that thing that you will change will ruin your future, but just in case.
I don't know. I don't think I'd like to change anything in my past. And the reason being, the only thing I would love to change is if I could have the cognition and understanding I have now to appreciate some of the things that I didn't because I didn't have the understanding I do now. That makes sense? Like little things, like obviously my mom passed away, little things that I observe and understand why her choices were the way that they were and how they benefited me. But being so young and not having the cognition, I could never really appreciate it or understand it. And so I wish I had that understanding so that in those moments I could just enjoy the choices and the time spent with my mum on that level. That's probably the only thing I would change, but it's not really going back in time to change anything. I don't know. Yeah, I've had difficult times like most people. I've had ups and downs, but I feel like I'm grateful because it's made me the person that I am today. And I kind of like the person I turned out. I could have turned out many different ways. Like, I don't know, up myself or stupid. I don't know. Whole range. You never know because you're the
Yeah.
product of your environment. And so if things hadn't have happened, some negative things, some difficult things, I wouldn't be around the people that I am that then helped shape the person that I am, the sense of humor that I have, the spark that I still enjoy life and that I'm excited to be around life. So I don't think I'd change anything. If you ask if I
Yes.
would change a body part, sure, or like a facial feature. If you can make, if you know, if someone could invent a system where you could choose where fat goes on your body, I'm all in for that. But
And
as for
on
this
this
circumstance, no.
on this movie, they didn't actually emphasize on this fact that you would change yourself, like your mind would change. In this movie, they were showing like when you change something in the past, your surrounding will change, the people around you will change, the network, a network
Yep.
of friends will change. So you are right about that part. That I think nobody would want to go through the past because that would be another person. So in this movie, you had this advantage, like you are still that person. You had experienced all those things. Now you want to go back and change something so that your surrounding will change. So in that
Mm.
case, what would you change?
My surrounding would change. I don't know.
Because your friends
Like,
will change. Maybe uh, you have different friends now.
how do you know where you'll end up though? Like, look, if I could change my surroundings and be best friends with Beyonce and I don't know, Taylor Swift and famous gymnasts and God knows, sure. And at the Oscars party, yes, I'd love that for me. how do you get there and how do you change your life circumstance to get there? I don't know. Because I don't know what's in the subset of reality for me to change my surroundings. Like, am I changing it only by like 5 degrees? So like, I don't know, I'll end up with different friends in a different suburb. Or if I go back and change something, and what would I change? How would I get to that level? Like, I don't know. Maybe I don't know if I could go back and buy Bitcoin or something when it first started, and then I could be a multi-millionaire and then invest my money in film. Maybe that's what I'd. Because look, fun fact, I did have an opportunity. Someone wanted to give me a Bitcoin for a pizza, and I said no. That Bitcoin would be worth a lot of money right now. Should have just given the goddamn pizza.
Right. And you know, some people, when they answer questions about time travel in general, they become unrealistic. Like, for example, they say, if I could go back in time, I would go and meet Einstein. Okay, why Einstein want to meet with you, you know, even if you go
Yeah.
back?
It's
So,
like, who is this pleb? It's like,
yes.
what's your IQ? You don't even have basic math understanding? Nah, it's a no from me.
Exactly.
That's Einstein. No. And also,
Yeah.
like, could you imagine a female going back in the times where women didn't have a voice and you're going to go ask people questions about stuff? It's like you're going to be sent into a mental institution and they're going to give you a lobotomy. Like,
Exactly. And what about your career? For example, if you could go back in time, would you choose another career or you would be an actor?
sometimes I have this question and I ask myself because acting is not an easy, no, it's a great job. It's not an easy job. And it's one of those things, once you get the bug, you can't let go of it. And it has a grip over you. You can never, it's just in your soul. And sometimes I wonder, what would my life be like if I never got bitten by the bug? Like, I'd go do the normal thing, get a normal corporate job like I had in the beginning, buy the house, the car, have the kids, and do all that stuff. And then I think to myself, I'm like, would I be happy? And would that be me, or would that be a completely different person who didn't have this personality and wasn't really excited by life and just went through the motions? And not to say that, living that life would be going through the motions, but knowing what I know about me now, I feel like if I did or had have done that, at some point I would have gotten to a brick wall where I would have been dissatisfied with my life. And would I then at that point know what, or would I be in a position where I could go out and change? Or would I have created such an environment where I'm now tied to it because I have like mortgages, I have responsibility to the children, I have responsibility to family, or I have responsibility to a company, or whatever I've created in that 9 to 5, cookie cutter life that I could have easily had? Would that have been able for me to then switch into acting? Because I feel like when you know what you're meant to do, or when you find that happy place, you know it. And money, it doesn't no longer excites you because money is so intangible. Now it's digital. You can't even see it. It's just ones and zeros on someone's imaginary scoreboard somewhere in a bank. So yeah, I don't know. I'm hooked now. I'm stuck where I am. I've tried. I've tried many a time to be normal. Unfortunately, I'm not normal. And I'm okay with that.
So, you know, in my case, for example, I went through this academic path to get PhD in mathematics. So if I could change time, I mean, go back in time, and I could choose another career, for example, I would choose a movie industry. Because what I
Really?
had, yes, actually, that would be the case because I'm a writer too. I don't know if we talked about it, but
No.
this one I couldn't actually focus on because I was busy with academia. That's why
Yeah.
I couldn't pursue that.
But
But
it's
the
not
fact
too
is that
late. You're not, look, I don't know how old you are, but you don't look like you're 99 to me. I feel like you have endless possibilities to continue if this is what your chosen path is.
But you know, the tricky part about movie industry, you know better, like when you write something and you send it to producers, they usually prefer to produce movies based on their own writing. So, you know, it's very hard to convince them. And during COVID, I actually did my best because I found some time. I started
Mm.
these interviews, for example. I started to write some short movies, maybe to do it with actors. But the fact is that, as I told you, producers were reluctant. and usually they told me like you should do it yourself, like an indie movie with low budget.
Mm,
But I cannot do everything from the scratch, and when the
yeah,
budget is not there, it's very hard to convince actors to just come here and just shoot a movie without money.
yeah,
So because they are doing it
yeah.
professionally, they deserve to be paid, you know?
Yes. And likewise, but I kind of understand what the producers are saying. I think maybe they could have communicated a little bit different. I think if you want a producer to back your script, they want to know that you have skin in the game. It's one thing to write it, but obviously a producer has to put some form of liability on the like some kind of asset on the line. And when you have an executive producer, they put most of the money in, and if it doesn't go well, their assets get seized, and it's up to them to deliver a product, especially if they've got a network that's waiting for it. So I think as a writer, again, don't quote me on it, I probably don't have the best experience on this side. I would think that if you want another producer to help you produce it, you have to put some skin in the game, whether it's some cash, whether it's an asset, just like them to match them so that they know you're serious and you've got as much to lose as they have to lose if it doesn't go and get finished and it doesn't get delivered. I think that that's probably where there's a bit of an issue where producers won't take other writers' work. It's just a script. It's like if they're writing the liability, and it can be scary.
Yes, that's right. Even, if I could go back in time and choose this path again, there was no guarantee that I could be successful. And I was all the time in my mind thinking, okay, what could happen if I went through the academia,
Mm,
It's always disturbing you. So whenever you go back in time, if you don't remember what happened in your hypothetical past, for example,
mm,
then in this case, you're always thinking, okay, what could be the other path? You have this thing. So this is something we cannot solve when in traveling to the past.
no, that's unfortunate. I wish we could. Wish you could just, pick different lives and go, oh, I don't like this
Yes,
life anymore. Can that what?
yes,
Or does
parallel
it serve
lives would
me?
be awesome.
Or if we have like, how they say there's always more than one of you in the world? Like if there's or at least there could be duplicates of us in different worlds. Being able to swap, like, hey, I've had enough in this iteration of my life. Can I go, what are you doing? Oh, you're a multimillionaire. Can we swap? You can be me and I can go into your life. Or I don't know, you're a cleaner. You know what? I'd like to see what that's like for a day. Let's swap. You have my life, I go do that life.
It
Be
reminded
great.
me actually about that Sims video game. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
So in that game, you could actually create three of yourself and have different life paths at the same time. It would be awesome in real life.
So that should be a film. Well, that's isn't that like Closing Doors, the film where it's like what happens if you had got like if she had gotten on the train. Am I got the right film? And like she would either have seen that her partner's cheating on her, or she wouldn't have, and like the different lives
Uh,
she could have had.
which
Is it
movie?
closing? Is it
What was
Closing
the name?
Doors? Closing Doors? Closing Doors?
Uh, I
No.
don't remember. I remember Source Code, for example, was similar to that. I don't know.
Mm. Someone needs to do another film like that. Like all the choices you could have taken, and then what would happen if you did, and what would happen if you didn't. Love films like that. It's like, would that have happened? Ooh. Choose your own
That would be
adventure.
really interesting. And I remember those days when I played Sims, everyone said, this is a girlish game. Why do you
What?
play that? And I said, no, the simulation part, actually, you can actually know about yourself better when you do that.
And then they launched that whole other game that was Second Life, where you have that whole virtual reality. Like you can have a virtual existence in a virtual reality. I remember all big companies were jumping on board to market in this virtual space of Second Life. You could pick your avatar, you could see what you look like, you could pick your life. I know there's a lot of interest in digital life.
Yes, you're right. And coming back to the movie Butterfly Effect, which role did you find interesting? Like, if you wanted to play a role in this movie, which one you would choose?
Ooh, that's a hard one. Because if I was Ashton Kutcher, I don't know if I'd like to know what my possible life could be. I think that would make me go nuts. I'm like, I still have all of the memories of all my other lives, and now I'm stuck with this one. It's like that series Sliders, where he keeps sliding into all these different worlds, hoping to get home, and then he only way he knows that he's home is if the fence is creaking. but in his world, his mum comes and fixes the fence, and he actually found his way home, but the fence is fixed, and it's like so he's stuck in a. So I think that would mess with my brain, and I'm like maybe the girlfriend purely because I like how she goes from being happy to then being like this psycho angry like addict. I
Yeah.
think she has a really cool, colorful arc of all the different personalities that she has. Um, it's a tough one.
Yeah, I would guess that you would choose Amy Smart's role because it was a challenging role. She played different roles in that movie, so that one was very interesting.
Mm, yeah, I don't
And
think I'd like to be Ashton Kutcher.
and also, what I found interesting in this movie was that they showed so many unpleasant scenes, and still the audience wanted to watch this to the end.
Yeah,
So, how they arranged all the story, how they made the story so powerful, and that's I think was very good. What they did was perfect, I think, in that manner,
yeah,
like how they put the puzzles together in order for you to get excited through going through all this trauma, all, for example, talking about cancer, talking about mental diseases, about everything they mentioned negatively. But you were so excited,
yeah.
okay, what's going to happen?
I think it's hope again. It's that hope that he's gonna get to the reality that he's gonna like the hope for the protagonist, which is Ashton, that he's gonna find the reality where he gets to keep her, and have his happily ever after. I think that keeps getting you through because every time you feel like, oh, he's mastering his ability. So through mastering, surely that would mean better accuracy, and then you would get the deliverable of, hey, you get to keep your girlfriend in her actual state. So I think that's again, if you know how to craft hope really well in a film, you can hook an audience. Like they did it. You're right. They did it very cleverly. There's so much nasty stuff. Well, not nasty, but like so much intense stuff that happens, and yet you still want to keep watching. And for how old that film is, pretty impressive.
And if
Like,
you noticed, for example, we talked about visual sets in Poor Things, and how it was exciting and how entertaining it was, how it was related to the movie. But in this movie, actually, the set design was not that attractive. They didn't want to do that even. They want you to focus on the story. So you see how
yeah,
they pull it out. It was really interesting.
yeah, and different again, using different elements of film to deliver similar kind of stories that are trying to test your, about the thought evolution, and look how they achieved it. Like it's just, yeah, when you look at film, it's very interesting what people use to try and convey the message. But it's a good film, I have to say.
Yeah, I'm
Highlight
glad
it.
you mentioned about being hopeful and the hope element in this movie. That you want to keep watching, maybe something good will happen at the end. But the way they ended, I don't know if you know about this, that they had alternative endings. Like there was no one ending for the movie. Have you watched both of the endings?
No, what's the other ending? I've heard of this. A lot of films have alternative endings, and then they'll go to a focus group and they'll
Yeah,
get people to
it
watch
was
it
on
and
the
go, which
DVD
one
actually.
was it?
So yes. So which one you have seen so that I know what is the other one?
So long ago. Trying to remember how it ends. I don't think it's a happy ending, the one that I've seen. Is it a
No, in
happy
either
ending?
one of them, no happy ending. Actually, one of them was related to the part that they showed that he committed suicide. Because in one of
No, I
the
don't think I've
scenes,
seen that one. I don't
yeah,
think I've
because
seen
it was
that
too
one.
dark. That scene was
Okay.
too dark. That's why they didn't decide to show it on the screen, so they put it on the DVD for the darker one.
Yeah. Also, you could think that that would potentially be really triggering for people, and then like there's a whole probably liability legal thing.
Yes, because we mentioned about hope, but finally he was hopeless at the end, and
Yeah.
he decided that if I don't exist in the world, everyone around me will benefit from this. So that's why he decided that.
Oh, that's a
And
crushing, crushing story.
yeah, that was too dark. And the other one was showing like actually Amy's character and Ashton Kutcher's character. They are seeing each other, but they don't know each other because they already left each other in their childhood. So I think you saw that
Yeah.
one most probably.
Yeah, I think I saw that one. That one makes more sense to me from what I've seen, yeah. But
Yeah.
that's dark that he but then It's
I
also
think that one at least
interesting.
was better decision because he could be alive at the same time. Maybe they go through different paths, although they would be good together. But he
Yeah.
sacrificed himself for
Yeah,
others
sacrifice
in this case.
for her to be alive. It's like, is it better to have someone alive and then not know you, but then to exist in the world, than for them to not exist in the world and for you not exist in the world? Like, that's an interesting, very
Yeah, I think it was
interesting.
one of the points of the movie to show that you sometimes selfishly want to make changes in your past so that you will have a better
Mm,
future. But
yeah,
at the end of the movie, they show that, okay, this guy reached that level that he wants to sacrifice his own life even
yeah.
for other people to have better life.
Or it's that old adage, it's better to have loved and lost than to never have loved at all. So he's content that he's loved and it's lost, but she still exists, and is happy to know that than to have never have loved at all and for her never to exist or for him never to exist and never to have loved.
Yes, that's true also. So I
So many
really
layers.
love this. Yes, I exactly love these movies that they have so many layers like this. We talked about Hair movie last time and Butterfly Effect for today.
Yeah.
So, would you like to add something about these movies that we talked today?
I don't know. I think they're movies that the more you watch them, they're not like the one kind of watch movies where you watch it once and you've done and you can put it on the shelf. These movies, I feel like every time you watch it, you're going to find something new that you didn't notice the first time, and it's probably going to change your perspective. Like, I reckon if I watch Poor Things again, there'll be something else that I missed the first time that then I'm like, oh, that's really interesting. I wonder why that's there and why did I not see it the first time? So that's the only thing I'd say. I reckon watch these movies again and see if you feel the same way when you first watched them the second time round.
Yes, exactly. For Poor Things, I don't know. I didn't have that feeling, but since you mentioned about it, I want to give it another try
Yeah,
because maybe I watched it in the cinema. Maybe I was distracted during the movie. Maybe there were some scenes I didn't watch attentively. So yes, maybe next time I will watch it once more. Maybe I have new ideas like you.
definitely. And then obviously watch her. Her, I think if I watch again, there'll be more
Her, I
points that
watched
I
more
will
than
pick up.
20 times already.
I
I can't get enough of it.
such every time, like I've already watched it a few times, but every time you watch it, I'm like, oh, this could easily be us in like 3 years. It's not that far fetched. Like, uh.
You're right. So, Kasia, thank you so much for giving time to this. I really enjoyed myself. I hope
Yeah.
also audience will enjoy it as well when they watch it.
Likewise, and don't give up on writing. If that's what you love doing, doesn't matter. Keep writing. You know, it's a journey, not a destination.
You're right. For writing, I already have novels. I have, scripts for short movies and everything. At this stage, I'm just waiting for this to happen because I
Yeah,
already posted them everywhere. So
yeah,
I'm waiting for a right moment.
yeah,
As you say, it's never
yeah.
too late for writers. Maybe it will happen 20 years later for
It
me. We don't know.
could. You never know. It's because again, like you see with movies, like her, for instance, timing is important because if it's not the right time, the film or the story might go over people's heads. So it's probably a timing thing. It will happen at some point. You just got to be persistent and patient, which I don't know if they're both kind of fighting each other, persistence and patience, but someone says it'll work out.
Thank you so much, Kasia.
You're
I
welcome.
really appreciate your time.
Likewise. Have a good
See
day or
you.
a good
You
night.
too. Bye.
Bye.